Hello, and we are live. Really excited today. I've got Aaron from Insight 6 who's going to be talking about customers and the customer experience and how we can utilize great customer feedback to really attract more customers and showcase what we do. So I'm going to be introducing Aaron in a second. If you are watching, again, please do give us a thumbs up, even if you're watching after the event. And do like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are watching on YouTube, where I share lots of social media tips and advice every week at 12:30 on a Monday. So I'm Bex from Social Media Executive, and today I'm going to hand you over to Aaron, and we're going to have a little chat about how you can leverage your current satisfied customers and use them to really attract more customers in your sector. So do you want to introduce yourself and tell us all about what you do?
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Bex. Appreciate that. So as you said, I'm Aaron Chetwin. I'm CX Director with Insight 6. So I look after the Liverpool region for Insight 6. So I cover the city, cover the Wirral, across to Warrington and kind of everywhere in between. The strapline I use at the minute for who I am and what I do is I help businesses to get more customers and keep more customers. So like, helping SME businesses to kind of do what the big boys do, what the big national brands, the Apples, the Amazons of the world do. So they use feedback to help drive that business forward, whether it be customer feedback, employee feedback, in-depth mystery shopping. Because you might think that all that type of stuff is, relevant in retail and hospitality, which it absolutely is. And they've been doing it really well for years, but it works really well across all of the sectors, B2B, professional services, education. There's a great fit because like customer feedback can play a huge part in all those types of businesses as well. So it helps them sell more stuff and increase customer loyalty and reduce costs, etc. But you asked me a great question. Sorry.
Yeah, go on. I was just going to say, and it's the hardest thing, isn't it, to get a customer? And then people get customers and then kind of forget about how we can then leverage this customer.
Well, a stat I came across and spoke about a little bit last week, it costs roughly 7 times more to attract a new customer and turn them into a client than it does to just look after your existing ones. So there's it's kind of double-edged sword. You've got to make sure you look after your existing, as well as what we'll talk about today, leveraging those to attract new customers. And obviously, if we can utilize who we've already got to attract, that makes them cheaper to attract as well. But as I say, the interesting question you asked me before we got going was, why do you even do this? Like, what got you involved with customer experience, etc. But so I worked for Argos and then Sainsbury's for 15 years since I was at college. So I've grown up in those two big national retail brands doing this sort of stuff on the front line, leading my teams, leading field teams. So it's in my blood, it's in my veins. So when I left Sainsbury's last year, and I found Insight 6, I thought it's a great way to take what I've always done and loved and help other, local businesses do the same.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. Oh, Gary said hello from Belvoir, and we've got Joanne as well. She says hello. Again, if you are watching live, please do say hello. Tell us where you work, what you do, promote your business. We're happy to. Oh, hi, Esther. Nice to see you. Thanks for saying hello. So you've got some fantastic tips from your experience in sort of large retail organizations. So you're going to tell us what we should be doing with our existing satisfied customers.
That's it. And how we can use social media to, as I say, leverage it. So I think, for context, why should anyone bother with feedback? Customer feedback is super important. We've got to seek it out, got to pay attention to it, got to act on it, which this is all about. Because feedback is around us all the time, whether we want it or not. It's there for the taking. But we've got to listen to it, and the more we listen, the deeper we listen, we comprehend it, then the more valuable it can be. And that's where it becomes really valuable when we use it to attract new customers to our business. But you can also use it to motivate your team as well. I know from working on the front line, when I used to hear some customer feedback and it mentioned me by name, that they loved the service experience that I gave them, it was a real boost. but you can then use it to like train and direct your employees to do more of what your customers say that they love. But like we talk about Net Promoter Score, NPS, quite a bit, and this is kind of like the baseline of what we'll sort of talk about. But it's like a worldwide metric, and you use it to measure your customer experience. But it's also like a strong indicator of business growth or potential business growth.
Okay.
We can use it to help benchmark ourselves against ourselves each week, each month, each year, etc.
Oh, I've not heard of that then. So net promoter score, is it?
Net Promoter Score, yeah. Chuck it in. I'll talk to you a little bit about it now, but chuck it into Google. There's loads of information about it online. But you can use it to, again, benchmark against like your own sector. So other businesses within your sector, or even other sectors, to compare how do you perform against other sectors. So it stretches right across, and it's because you ask this question to your customers and gather feedback about it. So it asks, on a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend that company, product, service, whatever it may be, to your family, friends, or to colleagues? And then you've got that scale of where do your customers answer and respond. So it's like 3 groups. You've got your 9s and your 10s. They're promoters. 7s or 8s are what we call passive, and then 0 to 6s are what we call detractors. So the promoters are really loyal. They'll keep buying from you, and they'll refer others to you as well. So that like helps you grow, because they're really happy. They'll give you some feedback. They might go and leave you a review and do you a shout out on social media without you even asking.
Yeah, they are like kind of like you're tried, aren't they? Really.
Exactly, yeah. So whatever you've done, you've got them. They're locked in. They're with you. Mm-hmm. On the flip side, you've got the detractors, those 0 to 6, and they're unhappy. So, and they can damage your brand and restrict growth. They can spread negative word of mouth without you asking. But also within that, there are some customers that will never be happy with what you do, because that's just in their nature. They'll never leave you a 10 out of 10. They might go and give you a keyboard warrior review. But I won't lose too much sleep over those 1 or 2 that filter through. But then the passives, the 7s or 8s, they're satisfied. They're happy with what you do, but they're kind of unenthusiastic either way. And these are the ones that can be like tempted to your competition, one way or the other, because you've kind of not delighted them enough to turn them into a promoter, but you've not peed them off enough to make them into a detractor. So they're just kind of sitting in the middle, and they're really passive. And unless you ask them for feedback so that you can understand, why do they think that way, so you can move them one way or the other, they're just happy to be passive. They'll never go and talk about you on social media. They'll never go and leave you a review. So we have to go to them.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. You take your... Go on, sorry.
I think that's really interesting, because I know I always talk to all my clients and I just say, right, okay, you've got to ask people for a review. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And all my clients are like, oh, and most of them don't actually actively go out and ask for a review. And I always use, the example that if you don't ask people for a review, people will always think to leave you a bad review, won't they?
Yeah.
But they won't necessarily think to leave you a good review.
Yeah.
So if you're not constantly chasing for those good reviews, because people think, oh, that's brilliant, but wouldn't think to leave a review, then if you do get that one bad review, say on Facebook, all of a sudden you've got a really bad score, bad rating on Facebook, and it looks really bad. And again, it doesn't help with your ranking on Facebook if your reviews are really poor. So that's really interesting, actually. And I've never heard of this sort of model where you kind of warm up your warm ones. Oh, and Joanne said as well, she said she always often has to chase them up because they forget. That's a really good point. That is a good point. I had someone who said they were going to leave me a review. I'd done some Twitter training with them. Mm-hmm. And, I'll leave you a review. I'll leave a review. 8 months later, I got that review. It was a brilliant review. Well, they apologised.
Just a slight delay.
Yeah, they apologised. I'm like, it's been on my to-do list. I'm just glad I can tick it off.
It's as you said, like, if you don't ask, normally the only people that will go and leave your review are the bad ones. So then you're kind of like in 2 positions. One, you don't have much volume going through for reviews. So that's a question mark over credibility, because you want a good chunk of volume in there. But then too, as you say, if it's only people that are throwing mud against the wall, you don't look great. So it's kind of it's a consistent volume game that you do to protect yourself, but also to showcase that, look, lots of people are transacting with us, doing business with us, and they're kind of giving you thumbs up, 4s, 5 stars, etc.
Yeah.
But you've got to build it over time.
Yeah. And Gary's done a really long one. So Gary says, Aaron's spot on. After each let, so Gary does lettings, sales and lettings of houses. We ask the tenant and landlord for feedback over the phone to make a personal contact. After the chat, we will ask for a review. Yeah, we refine what formats they have available in Google and Facebook. We then send a personalised email with the links. We then thank the person who's done the review on that platform, and also by email. We do the same for vendors and buyers.
That's fantastic. That's kind of next level. It's really
proper. That's the way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, because they tee it up, and they let their tenants and landlords, vendors know that they're going to do it and receive it. So they kind of already grease the wheels, which is fantastic, which I'm sure will help. In fact, I think I've seen Gary about on LinkedIn, and I've had a look at them online with Belvoir. I know that they're really high up the rankings in terms of their reviews. So I know he practices what he preaches there.
Yeah, and there we go. It is why it's the most reviewed agent in Warrington.
There we go.
Yeah. So yes.
Good. Sorry. So I talk about then creating a buzz. So once you've got this feedback, however you've got it, creating a buzz, which is about, again, leveraging those passives, those 7s or 8s out of 10. So it's them chunk of customers that are kind of stuck in the middle and haven't spoke up in a good way or a bad way. Because they are happy with the service that they provide, because they're giving you 7 or 8, but they're just not one way or the other. So like I talk about in like round numbers, 1 or 2 out of every 10 will be that kind of 9 or 10 promoters really happy. They'll do it without you asking. There's those 1 out of 10 that will be the back end, they'll be the detractors. They'll give you some feedback that'll be tough to hear. They'll go and leave your keyboard warrior review. But then there's 7 or 8 out of every 10 customers that are in that kind of passive space. And again, unless you ask them, it's them that you've got to really tap into. So it's kind of like a two-pronged attack then. You've got, first thing is like turning those passes into promoters through who you are as a business, what you do, how you service them, etc. And then 2, like shouting them from the rooftops about your promoters and tapping in and doing what Gary does there and kind of says, look, we want to be the best reviewed letting agents in Warrington in that example, and kind of build them so that they can support you with that. Because what's Gary put here now?
So now he's put team effort and great spirit amongst the team. We also bonus the team on 4 to 5-star reviews. Whole team on the same journey.
Very clever.
That's really good, isn't it? It is good. Yeah.
It just puts them on the right track there.
Yeah. Because also, when you've got a team and they're very busy, they're not going to have time maybe to chase customers up for reviews. It's probably going to be down the bottom end of their to-do list, isn't it? Because it's not the priority is to get the work done at the end of the day, isn't it? Yeah. But actually, the impact that you can have from getting those good reviews is massive, isn't it?
It's as good as free publicity, because you've done the hard work to turn them into a paying customer, paying client. You've done the hard work to service them. This bit's the right bit at the very end, but it is like the kind of cherry on top. So it can work really, really well. And if you've got everyone moving in the right direction, as Gary's got there, that line of sight towards reviews, and you've got it linked to pay in that scenario, brilliant.
Yeah. So if anyone else is watching live, or even if you're watching on catch up, let us know which platforms you ask clients and customers from. Who do you ask them? Is it Facebook? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Google My Business? Let us know. That'd be really interesting. I personally use Facebook, Google My Business, and LinkedIn. But I find the beauty about it is that as soon as they've left that public review, like you mentioned, Aaron, you can put it on any of your marketing material, can't you?
Absolutely, yeah. And
it's in the public domain.
Yeah. It's then about having a system in place, because customer feedback is brilliant, and it can be used, as you say, it can be used online, your website, your blog, your social media presence, because it's kind of really rich with insight or one-liners or stories that you can then utilize to help them promote your business. Because I know as a potential customer to lots of other brands, I much rather see and hear other customers talking, using the product and how they've experienced it, than be bombarded with marketing messages. It's kind of a clever ploy. Like, use it as a social media post, a testimonial, as I say, a blog. But you've got to have a system in place in order to ask, gather that feedback, analyze it, and then get it online in whatever way, shape, or form that you want to.
So what is a good system then? Have you got a simple, good sort of system?
There's loads of systems in place. Our system's Instant Insight just there over my shoulder, which we use at Insight 6. Real simple system. As I say, others are available, but it's an online dashboard that we utilize. We go out and survey a client's customers. We gather that insight and data in. We'll help a business analyze what's that data saying, because some business owners that haven't even got the time or headspace to think about what am I going to ask my customers and when and how do I do it. But then some, at the end of that, go, right, once we've got that pool of 100 pieces of customer feedback, for example, I don't know what it means. How do I sit down?
Yeah.
So we help them figure that out and map that out and talk to them about your customers are saying X, Y, Z. They want you to improve this, that, and the other. They think you're amazing at this, and build an action plan. But then we can take that out and pull all the great stuff that the business does and land it on the marketing department, the marketing exec, and go, right, this is what you kind of got, that constant stream, that process of feedback coming through that they can then utilize online, rather than kind of scratching your head and go, right, what can I put on today? What are my customers saying? Or, business owners, they kind of know that they should ask for feedback, but again, don't know how. Or then it might be, I'll send 10 emails out today or this week and go and ask me the latest 10 customers. But it can get lost in email inboxes, or you ring them up and talk to them, and it's great to hear it on the phone or in face-to-face in person. But sometimes it'll go in one ear and out the other unless you sat there writing it down, and then it never actually ends up with the person that's doing the social media online. So it's kind of then lost. So we kind of give access to our system to people that run social media for businesses, so that they can pull out those great bits of feedback and use it online. So you're not scrambling around for content then. But it all comes down to asking every day, every week, every month, whatever the right frequency is for the type of business, you need to be asking consistently. Otherwise, if you do it sporadically, you won't have enough coming through.
No, and it's interesting, isn't it? Because if you look, I sometimes look at people's Facebook and, all of a sudden they've got a flurry of 5 reviews, for example. And you look at when the Facebook page was launched, and it's literally 2 days after the Facebook page was launched, and then they've not had any for months. And it all is just a bit like, okay, are these all your friends leaving reviews for you? It looks a bit suspicious, doesn't it?
That's it, yeah. You normally see that burst, so I'll go and look at, research businesses online, go and have a look at their website, and then the reviews are from when the website was built. It's not constantly updating. You've got to update your website, you've got to update your social media you've got to keep iterating and delighting every day and keep feeding that. It's I'm looking for social proof. So I'm looking for lots of people giving you thumbs up or lots of people giving you 5 stars. But I'm also looking for it to be recent as well. So you're right, it's got to kind of fall through. Yeah.
And I always remember I was looking on Facebook. I had a wasp's nest I needed to get rid of. And so it's like, I've used sort of Ventakill and things like that. It was too expensive and the council wasn't available at the time. And I went on and a Facebook page popped up. It's called the Pest Doctor. Nigel, I'll give him a plug. He's very good.
There you go.
And I'd never heard of him. Went on, and I was just like, I'll have a look at his reviews. And I saw a review from my friend, gave him a 5-star review, and I went, all right,
there you go.
I'll give him a ring. because it was from my friend, someone I knew and trusted, and that's what basically then
that got him,
made me pick the phone up.
Straight up the credibility scale with you, didn't it?
Yeah. So it's about who's leaving those reviews, isn't it? And well, people will trust people, particularly if they know someone who's left them a good review.
That's it. And if you gather, the thing is, like, you gather enough feedback and you peel out all the great stuff to put online. But if you're asking all your customers and you've got this kind of rich data and you're doing it consistently, as I said before, you can see how you perform this week versus last week, last month, last year, and you can start to see that trend over time, whether it's positive or negative, and start to get a feel from your customer's point of view. Are you on track, off track? Are you moving in the right direction or not? So it kind of helps measure any changes you make within your business and whether your customers are responding positively to them.
And I suppose that's really important when you launch a new product or service, isn't it, as well, to help you get that customer feedback.
Massive, because, like, we both know from running our own businesses, like, we think we should do X, Y, or Z, but that's not always what our customers think we should do. That's not always what we want. Our expectations could be different, and we need to make sure they're on par and we're moving in the right direction.
No, absolutely. I was working with a client, and they were launching a product on Amazon, actually, and really interesting because they were new to the platform, and they went in and got the team to buy the product so they could leave a review. But they all left a review within a day, and then got flagged, and all the reviews got frozen. I was like, they're very intelligent. It's a very intelligent system is Amazon, and it's the same on Facebook, on Google My Business. They know, don't they, people are trying to play the system and leave fake reviews.
It's not one and done. It can't ever be one and done. It's got to be consistent over time.
No, that's really interesting. So have you got any more tips, Aaron, or do you want to tell us how people can get in touch if they need more support?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn. I won't spell my name because it's down there at the bottom. It can be a little bit tricky. So you can find me on there. You got the Insight 6 website, insite6.com. As I say, I look after Liverpool, but there's 25 of us across the country. So if there is anyone listening outside of that patch, feel free to get in touch with me, and I can put them in touch with their other local CX director, or they can find it on the website there. Thank you for popping that up. Or contact me on LinkedIn.
I'll put the link in
just there.
You get it right.
But I guess to summarize, like, what I've been talking through here, it's super important to focus your business on customer feedback. It can drive benefits in loads of different directions, but having a system in place for asking, for gathering, then analyzing it, and then storing it and getting it online is really critical. But if you focus on figuring out who those passives are within that NPS scale, and then turning those into promoters through who you are and what you do and the way you go about your business. No, I think it's really important, and I think it's an amazing system. So if you do need help gathering that data, and do speak to Aaron. And I'm sure even if you've just got any questions or pointers, he can point you in the right direction, because it is absolutely fundamental, isn't it, for your marketing strategy? The world is so competitive at the moment. It's one of the only ways you can stand out these days, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's, as I say, much cheaper than a marketing or advertising agency to use what we've already got. It's there within us. Yeah, and it's genuine as well. It's that genuine customer feedback, isn't it? No, that's been really interesting. I love that sort of that NPS, that I forgot what it stands for. Net Promoter Score. Net Promoter Score. I've never heard of that before. That's really interesting. So I know I do regularly ask for reviews. I don't necessarily chase them if they don't leave me one, but it is something that I build into, like a system. Not the system is in that nature, but because I don't have a huge number of clients going through my doors, but certainly for large organisations, it's really good. Well, thank you so much today. It's been really interesting. Gary's put another comment in, actually. So Shannon, sales negotiator, received an amazing review this morning from a recent buyer.
So I was mentioned in person and he's so happy.
There
Yeah,
you
and
go.
it is brilliant for team morale as well, getting those
Huge
positive
boost, yeah.
reviews. Yeah, no, that is really, really good.
Thanks for sharing that, Gary.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. In fact, Gary's going to be on the live stream in a few weeks, aren't you, Gary?
Oh,
Talking about
right.
all the video he's doing as well. Yeah, so
I shall
he's
keep
going
my
to
eyes
be
peeled for that
joining
one.
us soon. Yeah. So, well, thanks everybody. Again, I will be live next week on Monday at 12:30. This week is I've got LinkedIn workshop online running. I have still got a few places left for my LinkedIn workshop. If you want to do a last minute booking, it starts tomorrow at 9:30. We do an hour a day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I will help you transform your LinkedIn profile. So again, there's the link. Here's the link. Please do book on if you're interested. There's an Eventbrite link there. Thank you everyone for watching. And thank you everyone for contributing as well. It's always appreciated. And again, if you're watching on catch up, please put any comments in. We'll both get back to them and answer any questions that you might have. And please, if you're watching this video, please do give us a like. And if you're watching on YouTube, please do subscribe to my channel for lots of social media tips and advice. And just once again, huge thank you to Aaron for coming along today and sharing that really sort of valuable advice. All right, thank you everybody, and see you next week. Bye.
Thanks, folks.
Bye.